time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Spot Shooters Archery,
Easy Cut,
Packer Max,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Scent Lock,
Scent Blocker,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Buck Baits,
Gut Check,
Stanislawski Release Aids,
Copper John,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Sense Vapor Hunting Products,
and Rebel 6 Rubs. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight in the weekend before Thanksgiving, along with Dan DeFaw. And before we get going to... Dude, you look creepy when you do that.
I know.
I'm going to get you back. I don't know how yet, but I will get you back for that. But before we get started, Dan, tell the good people about the offers we got going on.
You know what? Help and support Up North Journal. The only way to do it is help our sponsors out and supporters. And one of them being Hunter's Blend Coffee. And if you go over there to Hunter's Blend Coffee, huntersblendcoffee.com, and if you use the promo code, which you can see on the screen under Mike's finger, or if you're listening on the podcast, capital UNJ, you'll get 10% off on your checkout with your order. But that's not all. If you go on over to buckbaits.com and you want to get some cents, sent to you in the mail.
There you go.
And you want to get 20% off? That's right. Go over to buckbaits.com, use the promo code UpNorthJournal, and you will get 20% on your order of checkout.
But wait, that's not all.
But that's not all. We have got turkey day, Thanksgiving coming up. What better way to season your turkey than going over to rebel6rubs.com, and you can check out their seasonings and rubs, and when you check out over there, if you use the promo code NorthJournal, you'll get 20% off your order over there.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right, well, a couple quick shout-outs. Tammy Duck says, hey, boys, hello back at you. And you already talked about Ron's got it cranked to 30 in the truck. Jason Radecki sent a pic of his doe in tonight. Meat for the table. Love it. Nice job. Way to smack them does, man. Glad you're out there doing your part on that.
Absolutely.
So, but speaking of meat for the table, we have got somebody not in the cabin. Actually, he's all the way across the United States tonight.
Is there going to be a fight?
For what?
Because we had his sister on.
I don't know. Hey, what's going on, Rory? How you doing?
I'm good. Yes, there's going to be a fight tonight.
If y'all remember, about a month and a half ago, we had Ellery Tucker Williams on, which is Rory's sister, and dude, she threw you under the bus.
I'm still washing those skid marks off my back.
Well, are we going to hear the truth tonight?
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Right.
Although, you might stretch it just a little bit. You might embellish it a little bit, maybe?
It's possible.
It's possible. Okay. Well, thanks, first of all, for being on the show tonight. And secondly, thank you for doing what you do, because you are a first responder. You're an officer out in the state of Washington. You're on a local level, or you work with the state?
I'm on a local level.
Okay. All right. But thank you for doing what you do. And I know the people out there appreciate it, but we all appreciate people serving their local communities. So hats off to you. Well,
I guarantee you, we appreciate all the support we can get.
So, but, and actually, you want to tie that in a little bit tonight with what we're going to talk about. We'll save that for the end of the show. But what we want to talk to you about tonight is, and you and I have been talking back and forth a little bit, and we've already kind of teased a little bit about doing do-it-yourself hunts. I mean, you're out in the state of Washington. You live out, I guess I can say, the middle of nowhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
You're up in the mountains, but you decided to go to Wyoming for an antelope hunt. And that's what we want to talk to you about tonight, and kind of pick your brain and figure out how you did it, and, the success rate and all that kind of good stuff.
Right. So basically where it all started, where me and my two other work buddies were just, we hunt together a lot here in Washington, and we were like, hey, we need to do something different. Let's go look for an out-of-state hunt. And so it kind of started off, we were thinking about doing Montana antelope, but then one of us figured out that you could go to Wyoming and hunt doe antelope for like $42.
Out of state?
Out of state.
Okay.
And I mean, how can you go? I mean, $42. Even if you go out there and completely bomb, it's not like you're out $1,000 somewhere else for some kind of tag. so that's how it all got started, and we started the planning process.
So how long did you? Okay, you guys talked about it. You guys said let's do it. So how long are we looking? Are we looking at a month out, and you just decided to do it, or 6 months, or a year in advance, or how long do we think about getting into this?
I would say 6 to 9 months out. Even though the tags are only $42, I still needed to plan some financial stuff for travel and gas and food and make sure that could all work out
and where you're going to stay and everything and where you're going to go. And
exactly.
Now, okay, so you decide you're going to go. You see that the tags are a nice cheap price. So what about, are you going to do a public land? You're going to hire an outfitter? What are you going to do? You're doing it yourself, so you're making all these decisions on your own. So I'm assuming that you decide we're going to do it all public land?
We decided whatever we could do to do it the possibly cheapest way ever is how we were going to do it. And so the obviously you start with the public land idea. And I don't know if you guys know much about Wyoming, but their public land and private land are pretty checkerboarded. And sometimes it's hard to find, if you don't know what you're doing, it's hard to find public land to access.
Okay, so you got to do some homework as to where you're going to be going. Now, are these licenses, is this like you buy one tag, it's statewide? Do you have zones? Do you have area? What do you got for your limits? Yeah, so in Wyoming you have antelope areas, and you have to apply for a tag in that area. So we researched like what the percentages you're going to have to actually draw a tag, and then what the percentage is going to be to actually harvest something with that tag. And so we found an area with pretty decent harvest amounts and really easy to draw a tag. And so we got on Google Earth and county maps and saw all this public land. We didn't know a whole lot about the whole no access thing when we were doing this, so that was kind of a steep learning curve. And we're like, oh, this is a huge area. We look where all the roads go, and we figured, the idea we had of what hunting is you go there, you get up early, you get on the highest ridge you possibly can, and you just glass all day long, right, until you find something you want to shoot.
Right.
And so we look at the maps, we find the area that has the least amount of roads, I guess the biggest area without a road going through it. And then in our minds, like, okay, that's where the antelope are going to be. And so we do the research. We're like, okay, it's going to be a 12-and-a-half-hour drive. Are we going to do this? Yeah, let's do it. And so we bought the tags the first year. And I'd have to say we got incredibly lucky with how it turned out.
So did you do any pre-scouting at all? Did you make a trip out and then back before you went and hunted, or you just went out there blind?
We just winged it.
Okay.
And so we get all packed up. We all get our tags, and we get all packed up, and we have this road that we want to go. There's a bridge across the Powder River, and we're going to hit this bridge, get on the other side, and it's all public land. Mm-hmm. And so I think that day we got off. I think we left at 3:00 in the morning, something like that, Washington State, and we hit Wyoming about 3:30, 4:00, still daylight out. And so from the town where we last refuel, it's like 40 miles of dirt road out to where we're going. And we get there, we get to the bridge, and there's a big sign that says private road, private bridge, no trespassing.
Oh.
And all our eggs, we have no other baskets. We have one basket, all our eggs in it. And we thought we screwed up big time.
So what do you do at that point?
Well, we're sitting there trying to decide, like, we're pulling out the maps on our phones, got out Onyx maps to look what we need to do. And here comes this lady on a four-wheeler across the bridge, and there's a house on the side that we're at, and she pulls up to us, and two of us get out to talk to her, and we're like, so we came from Washington State, and we wanted to hunt private property over here, and she basically told us we were SOL. Like, oh well, so then we said, well, I guess we'll go farther down the river and try to cross there, and she said, nope, we own that too. And I was just, we basically had our hats in our hand. We're like, we obviously screwed up. We don't know what we're doing. And so the initial offer was $500 a person. We could go hunt over there.
That was her offer to you, or your offer to her?
That was her offer to us.
That's what I figured.
And I was like, I can't do that. Like, the tag is only $42. I'm not going to pay $500 to go hunt public land. Like, I can't. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't afford that.
Right.
And so we're talking and we're being as nice as can be. And she was like, well, $100. And I was like, still, like, anything, where could we go hunt, And then, I'm not trying to bring up anything political in here, but she asked us, you're from Washington? I said, yeah. She goes, are you guys liberal? And we were like, no. And she's like, okay, you can go hunt it for free.
Okay, that's funny.
Oh.
Yeah. And we were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, we appreciate, again, super nice. We talked to them for a long time. We asked them about all their rules because they own checkerboarded areas in that whole area. So not only do we get to hunt the public land, we got to hunt their thousands of acres of ranch land as well.
Wow.
And so, I mean, super, like, some of the nicest people you could ever meet. They're sheep and cow farmers. And, so we got lucky, and they told us where they wanted us to camp, got in there and set up camp. And the wind is crazy in Wyoming.
Okay, so you were camping. So you were going to be tent camping, or were you pulling a trailer?
Tent camping.
Okay, so you get out a nice tent and everything, and then you find out it's a little windy.
Right.
Yeah, so the tent my buddy brought was this big, like, 2-bedroom family tent, right? Like, huge, a big old sail. And so that did not work out in our favor with the wind blasting us all night. But it worked. We survived. And then, we get up the next morning, and we're thinking, okay, we got to go find the highest ridge, and we got a glass, and we get up early. We're really gonna do this right and get some good. We're only shooting does, so we don't know anything about does or how big they are or how big they can get. And we get up on the first little knoll and glass, don't see a thing. Start driving, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a group of antelope. There's a group of antelope. There's a group of antelope. They're everywhere. And it was a good time.
So now, are you bow hunting for them? Or are you? I think in the pictures it was rifle, right?
Yeah, rifle hunting.
Okay, so you can reach out and touch one at a safe distance of a couple hundred yards.
Yep.
And so, what caliber did you select?
I was shooting a 30-06.
A 30-06 with a bipod.
Yep.
Nice.
And then my buddies are shooting a 300 WSM and a 7mm.
So you guys are shooting long distance then. Definitely long distance.
Well,
how close were you able to get to them?
Oh, I mean, within the last 3 years, we've had bucks walk within 70 yards of us. If you get there on opening week, it's not difficult to get close to them.
Okay. What does a buck
tag
cost?
That's not the norm. Like, everyone I talk to are like, no, if you go antelope hunting, you should expect 300-yard shots.
Right.
And that being on private property with them not being pressured at all, it's really not like that.
What does a buck tag cost?
$340.
Okay, not
bad. Okay. So what's the? Do we have a 1 buck rule, 1 doe rule? What's the limit on the bag limit?
Don't quote me on this. I think you can buy 2 buck tags and 4 to 6 doe tags.
Okay, so you got a 2. We'll go 2 and plus. So so you're looking at, so if you buy 1 buck tag, you can get a couple of doe tags, so you could really stack your freezer.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now the meat, does it taste? They're out there in the middle of sage country. Does it got that sage flavor to it? That's what I've heard.
I thought, I was told that antelope's not good at all. I actually think it's pretty good. So I think it's all in how you process it. When we get an animal down, we go to it and we bone it out right then and there in the field and put it in a cooler with ice. Okay. No hair, no nothing. And then we take it back to camp and wash it off in the spring. Okay. And that seems to work out. The bucks can have a kind of a funk smell to them, but they taste fine.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's how you prepare it.
Yeah.
And it's
exactly.
And so you're seeing these antelope everywhere. But when we come back from our break, right, we'll break for a break here, and then we'll find out. We're looking at some of these pictures. I got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We're talking antelope hunting with Rory Williams out in Methow Valley. Did I say that right? Methow? Methow Valley, Washington. Not Washington, D.C., but the state of Washington. So you're way out west. And getting back into the hunt, you talked about going to Wyoming. Were you in western Wyoming? I mean, obviously you didn't want to travel even further, but I got to assume you were in western Wyoming.
We were pretty much in central Wyoming.
Central, okay.
Okay, so
Gotcha.
So what time of year are we going out there?
Early October.
Okay, so early October. What kind of weather were we looking at?
Windy?
The first year we
besides that.
had like freezing temperatures. The second year we were at 93 degrees. And then this year it was lightning, thunder, lightning, and then it got chilly the last day.
Are you sure you didn't come to Michigan?
Yeah, I know. Right?
That's what it sounds like.
That's Michigan, in a day here.
That's true.
He's talking 3 years.
That's right.
So when you obviously when you're getting ready to go do this hunt, you kind of prepare for just about everything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So with that being said, you take a look at the weather. You get out there. You got either your shorts on or you got everything on.
Yeah, looking back at that, you've done this for 3 years now. What's the one thing that you learned that first year that you picked up on quickly, besides the public land access deal? What's the one thing like maybe you forgot to take or you didn't think about that you've changed up since you've went back the last 2 years? Okay,
so this is kind of a funny story. So we get out there, we find our first group of antelope, and we're sneaking in on them. We're doing this, we're crawling with our rifles over this hillside. All of a sudden, I tell both my buddies, stop. We are surrounded by cactus. I had no idea there was all that prickly pear cactus in Wyoming before I went.
Uh-oh.
And literally surrounded. Like if we would have took one more step, we would have been hands full of cactus. And so I think that first trip, all of us ended up with some sort of, we either sat on one or put our knee on one or our hand. And, that like, if you're going to go to Wyoming, be prepared for cactus because that stuff, you'll be picking it out of your skin 3 months later.
Okay, so how does one prepare for cactus? I mean, that's a stupid question, but I mean, clothing-wise, you got special clothing to wear? You wear,
I'd say just being cognizant of it and paying attention because it only takes once or twice to put your hand in it before you're looking every time you put your hand down for that stuff. And then sometimes it's just dead in the ground. You don't even see it, and it still gets you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I guess you could wear like leather gloves to crawl through, but yeah, it's terrible stuff.
Yeah, kind of like what you found out in Illinois.
Yeah, with the stinging nettles.
Yeah, we do have a question coming in live on Facebook, and one of the question is coming from Charles Byram. He's in Iowa. He missed the beginning of the show, but he wanted to know, do you need to hunt with a guide if you are not a resident of Wyoming?
Nope, you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Actually, Charles, you got to go back and definitely listen to the first segment of the show because they got in quite a pickle actually out there, and access was tough to come by. So, okay, so now we're in year 2, and you kind of learn the ropes a little bit. Do you go back to the same place? Do you talk to the same lady and get access to the same land, or do you go somewhere else?
No, we go back. We go back to what works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so we bring their family gifts every year.
Absolutely.
So since we're from Washington, we bring them big boxes of apples that they don't really get over there.
Okay.
We brought them honey, pears, just all sorts of stuff that we have really cool, like different brands and types of apples here where we live.
Okay.
That aren't even out on the main market yet.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Another question coming in live. Did you do a lot of spotting from your truck and then stalking, or did you go up on knolls and do the spotting from that point?
So it started off by getting up on top of the hills and spotting, but we quickly realized that wasn't needed at all. And so basically we would drive around until we saw a group of antelope, and then we would just spot from the truck and decide if there's anything worth going after in those groups.
Okay. So a lot of driving on top of that. But of course, you can cover a lot more ground a lot quicker that way too, and see a lot more game that way as well.
When I tell you there's antelope everywhere out there, like everywhere there's antelope.
Okay. Now, were you mainly finding them at watering holes? Because we hear a lot about that, people setting up on water holes. Or were they just out grazing? I mean, what was that?
Out grazing.
Okay, out grazing. Gotcha. Okay. So now you go back out the second year. Did you guys opt for buck tags that year?
My So my buddy, there's only 2 of us that went the second year.
Okay.
Or the 2 of us from the original group went the second year because the third buddy had a Washington elk hunt to do. And so then we invited another friend from Alabama to come up and hunt with us.
Okay.
And so they both got buck tags and doe tags. I just bought 2 doe tags that year.
Okay. Now, the picture of your buddy here, was that the second year?
No, that was this year, the third year.
Okay. I'll hold that picture off then. So you went back and you opted for 2 doe tags. How did you guys do that year? What was
like I said, opening morning when we had shot 5 antelope already, we decided like, okay, guys, let's take a breath. Female antelope actually do have horns. And so both bucks were shot opening day, I believe. And then for the rest of the time, we searched for what we called the hashtag monster doe.
Okay.
And so we're looking for does with bigger antlers.
Okay.
Or bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask the stupid question. If they both got antlers,
yes.
What's the telltale sign between the buck and the doe?
The does, I mean, their antlers are only going to be about that tall or at the most, maybe bigger if you're a state record. The bucks have the big like pronghorn. Yeah.
Okay.
They have the pronghorns, and then they have some black markings on their neck, and they're bigger than the females. But some of the smaller bucks, you definitely got to pay attention to make sure they're not females.
Okay. So now I got a picture up here. The tip of the horn. You talked about it being ivory. I've never heard that before. They've got ivory tips.
Yeah, they do. I'd never heard that before either until we started shooting bucks, and that one's of my buck this year.
Okay.
And so I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, definitely something that I've never heard. Well, I've seen antelope, but I've never been antelope hunting. I've never been up close to one, so I don't know a whole lot about them other than just a few things that I've heard. So you guys you shoot a bunch second year, you go back the third year, and I assume once again you're taking gifts back to the landowners. You're going back to the same place. And what's the setup this time? What's different this year than the previous 2 years?
So this year, they wanted us to change camping areas. So instead of being up on the public land, we actually camped down on the river. They're on the Powder River.
Okay.
We camped along the river, and it's actually a really nice spot. The weather kind of turned bad on us. The first night we had just a huge thunder lightning storm, rained all night, which made the roads like super, super muddy the second day of hunting. But it was fine.
Okay.
We made it.
Can you hunt them when you're out in the rain or no? I mean, is it preferable to have dry weather, or do they not move in the rain?
They do whatever they do, no matter what the weather is. I mean, where we camped, we were on. So the river separates the 2 antelope areas, and so where we camped, we didn't have antelope tags. But from camp, if we had a mule deer tag, we could have tagged out on that. If we had an antelope tag, we could have tagged out on that. Just sitting in camp. Because they were coming in. And so, yeah, it's fun times.
I guess so. It sounds like it. And another question coming in is, you talked about this a little bit. Chris Kreiner's asking, the caliber choice, what you think would be. I know you said you were using a 30-06. Your friends were using a 300, a short mag. And what do you think you should expect to shoot the range out there in your area? What do you think? I know you said you had them within 70 yards, but how far out do you think you could have reached out?
Our longest shot was 800 yards.
Okay, somebody actually connected on one at 800 yards?
Yeah.
Wow.
My longest shot was 626. That was on my doe, and then my buck was only 200 yards. I shot the doe that you have a picture of, that one was only at about 60 yards.
Okay, so the doe is at 60.
Yeah.
So to answer Chris's question, anywhere from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted it to be 1,200, 1,400, 1,500, you could. I don't know how ethical that is. That's up to you. I'm not here to judge that, but it could be as far as you wanted because it's wide open territory out there.
That's what I was kind of. You were in the wide open spaces, so if you were in the right spot, you could see for a long ways.
So what do you practice in that when you're prepared to go out there, maybe for the first time or maybe even that second year? Are you increasing the distances you're practicing at and preparing to shoot at? And what are those distances?
Yeah, I shot. 626 was right. That was longest shot I've ever made. but I had been did some work on my rifle. We made some custom rounds for it, got a new scope, and so I was comfortable shooting at that range.
Okay.
Like beforehand, I really wouldn't take shots over 300 yards because I never really needed to on anything.
Okay.
My goal is basically normally to get as close as I can.
All right. That way you don't have to worry about, wounding game or losing game, I got to assume.
Right.
Okay.
So for the listeners out there that they're thinking about doing this, getting all involved, listening as they listen to the show, did you go to the Wyoming DNR website to get most of your information?
Yeah, they have it all. The Wyoming Fish and Wildlife page. They have all the odds of drawing and odds of harvest and all that stuff on there. And I printed up a big old booklet of information to go through and analyze. Created spreadsheets of all the stuff, and I think I even got into like Eastman magazine, and they had a whole article on like the best places to go, and I ended up ignoring that. But
okay,
yeah.
Well, let's get into this year. Now, you got two pictures here. You got one with a buddy of yours with a real nice buck here. Talk a little bit about that.
We chased his. We saw it. It was the opening day. We were there, and he's one of these guys who, if he doesn't find a good animal shoot, he'll go home and have tag soup. He doesn't care.
Okay.
Like he's not into shooting small animals.
Mm-hmm.
And so this buddy, he was there the first year, didn't go the second year, and he was there the third year. And so we're looking at this buck. I'm like, man, it does look good, but I don't want to tell him like, yeah, go shoot it and have it not be like a nice buck.
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm not judging antelope for me is hard. I don't have a whole lot of experience at it. They say, look at the ears compared to where the prongs are. And I'm like, look, man, I think it's a good buck. I don't think you'll go wrong shooting it.
Mm-hmm.
And we him and hawed on it for a while. We went off to do something else. We came back and found it again. And he's like, all right, let's do it. It's the nicest one we'd seen all day. Let's just get it done. And then he was shooting. He had, I don't remember what he shot this year, but he had it worked up so he could take a long shot if he had to. I think he ended up shooting it on the run at like 60 yards again.
Okay.
And it went down, and it measured right around 13 inches. And so it was for that area, is pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, for what I've seen, that looks like a nice buck to me.
So you're looking for height above the skull on the antlers?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about yours here? We got your picture of yours up here.
So I don't know if my buddy's going to listen to this, but I just want you guys to know that my buck was about a quarter inch longer than his.
Okay.
That's important when it comes to bragging rights. Mine's funny. It's like we've been talking about all day about how to size bucks. Okay. And so I see this buck on the hillside. He had already harvested his. I'm looking at it with my binoculars, and I was like, it's early in our hunt, and I don't want to shoot it, but his ears look really small.
Right.
They don't have small ears. Like, if they look small, it's because your antlers are big. And I was like, I just don't want to make the wrong choice. And I was like, screw it. I don't want to miss this opportunity, because he's probably right. He's a really good and experienced hunter. And so I think I took the shot at 217 yards, something like that, and put it right in the shoulder, and he went down, and yeah, got up to it, had the nice ivory tips on it, and I was very, very happy with what it was.
Well, now that's the third year. This is the third year you've been out. And this, again, is when? You said September?
Early October.
Early October, okay. All right, so you've had some time to reflect now. You going back next year, I assume? I
don't know. I think we've all shot does. We've all shot nice bucks. I think it's time for something different. We've been talking about doing Colorado elk next year. Okay. Have an offer on the table to go to Wyoming for whitetail. I don't know. On my bucket list is definitely like an Alaska caribou hunt, but that's going to take a couple years to save up for.
Right. So now, would these hunts that you just mentioned, would they be do-it-yourself hunts much like what you've done here?
Yeah.
Okay.
My buddies are like me. We like to save money, and we're all pretty hardcore hunters and like to get out and beat the bushes and work hard for our animals, and we're not afraid of a little work.
Well, I got to imagine when you put that much work into it of doing the research, getting out there and doing it yourself, there's a little bit more to the reward of when you actually do get game and bring it home.
For sure.
I think. Go ahead.
Oh, I said I think when my kids get a little older, I think I'll want to take them back to Wyoming to to shoot some antelope.
Okay.
But I also found out that I think South Dakota, one of the Dakotas only charges $10 for youth hunts is what I've heard.
Okay.
And so I definitely want to get my kids out of the state early to do hunting.
All right. Well, you brought up the kids. That's something that I want to touch on here. Let's talk about that in the next segment. So
I got one question before we leave.
Okay, go ahead.
Was there anything? Did you have to worry about? Okay, so you shot your bucks and your does. How did you have to? Did you have to tag them, register them? Did you have to worry about disease, getting them tested, anything like that?
No, you got to tag them. You got to leave proof of sex on part of the meat. Other than that, you have your tags with you. They're pretty easy to tag out and connect. And then all of our meat is obviously already skinned and in the coolers. And so we just kept everything with us and had the couple hindquarters with the proof of sex on them. And in fact, when we were leaving this year, the game warden contacted us as we were on our way out. And he's like, "Oh, are you guys done? Yeah, where are you headed? Back to Washington." He's like, "Is your meat completely buried in the back of your truck?" We're like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, have a good one."
Nice guy.
But only game warden we'd seen all 3 years.
Okay, so all right, so you didn't have to worry about having it tested for a disease or anything like that, and have to run it to the check station or anything like that. So, well, it sounds like a good do-it-yourself kind of way to go for really, if you plan it out, not that expensive.
Right.
Getting very lucky, being the political views that you are, helped you out.
Right.
Yeah. So I got one piece of advice for people out there who want to do this. Pick an area and get a doe tag. Your first year, don't spend the money on a buck tag. Get a doe tag. That way, if you go out there and the hunting's terrible, you're only out $40 instead of $350. That lets you learn the area. The first year, you can see, are there bucks there? Are there not bucks there? And then the next year, you can apply for your buck tags and be more successful.
What other piece of advice that you've learned over these last 3 years that would help somebody that you may not think about? So there's got to be something that you're like, I wish I'd known that the first year.
Keeping, the care for your meat. When you get out there, the way we do it is we split the hide down the back and then bone from the back down. Get that hair off the meat and make sure you have ice in your cooler when it goes in there to start cooling that meat down, or else it'll just stay hot.
Okay, right on. Good advice.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? And like you said, the 3 years he's had 3 different weather, so you don't know. It could be cold, it could be 90s, it could be
right.
Have prepared. Ice, you're good to go.
Right.
It was not fun trying to keep our meat cool in 93-degree days.
I bet.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yep.
When you go out, take like an AR or a 22, because there are groundhogs or prairie dogs everywhere out there to have fun with.
Target-rich environment.
Target-rich environment everywhere.
Nice. All right, I tell you what, we're going to step outside. We'll take our next break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about, you mentioned getting the kids out in the outdoors, and I know that's a passion of yours, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. Still talking a little do-it-yourself hunting, getting out of the outdoors, but actually we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the kids.
And like you said towards the end of the last segment, you might change it up a little bit, but he might actually go back when his kids are ready to go take his kids.
That's right. Now, you've got one son and 2 daughters, and talk a little bit about getting them involved in the outdoors. I know you sent us a lot of photos, and I've seen you talk about a lot of things about your kids getting in the outdoors. And I think you do it the right way. You started them real young.
Yeah, my dad started all of his kids young, out duck hunting and deer hunting and whatnot, and I wanted to follow that, so they would have the same passion I would have for hunting. And so as soon as my kids were born, if it was hunting season, they were on my back in a backpack or getting pushed in a stroller by mama or whatever. We were out hunting. They'd have their little headphones on, and we were out there doing it. And so it's I don't think there's any excuse not to take your kids on some form of hunting or fishing every year to get them involved.
How old were you when your dad got you out for the first time? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure I was born in October and duck hunting's in October. So I was either like a week old or a year old.
You're kidding me. That is awesome.
There's a picture I have with my dad somewhere where I was like a baby with big, 1980s headphones on, out hunting somewhere.
Nice.
That is cool.
Nice.
So now I've got pictures here. You got your kids out on a hike, sleeping outside. When I say sleeping out, you didn't do it in a tent. You had your kids sleeping out on the ground under the stars.
Yeah, so that's on the back piece of our property, up on the hill, and we built this little campsite up on a bench, and it's actually one of the spots I have a game cam and some salt lakes out. And we put the tarp in the air, sleeping bags on a piece of plastic on the ground, had a fire going. I think that night it got down to 25 degrees, and I always make sure my kids have plenty of warmth at night with their sleeping bags and blankets and clothes and whatnot. My oldest daughter and I did it last winter. We snowshoed up there with all our stuff on our backs, and it got down to, I think, 13 or 16 degrees that night with a bunch of snow. And I just want them to know what it's like to go on an adventure and know that it can be fun. Even in the worst of circumstances of weather or whatever, you can still have a blast, and it makes for a good story.
Now, this is on your property where you live and hunt, right?
Yep.
Okay. So getting them out,
deer camp all night that night.
Getting out and having them, in the elements. I got to imagine too that at some point, you're hoping that it never happens, but it prepares them for the inevitable if they ever have to stay out and something like that. They know what to do.
Exactly. So when last couple times we've been up there, I told my oldest daughter, what do you have to do before we eat? And she says, I have to start the fire. Mm-hmm. I said, so you better get on it as soon as we get up there. That's your job. Get that fire started. And so, the first couple times she doesn't quite know what the program is, but she's getting better and better with finding her tinder and her kindling. And we already have wood kind of cut and split up there, but she knows it. You can't eat if you don't have a fire.
Right. And you don't limit this just to the woods. I mean, you've got them out on the water. You got them out fishing with you out on lakes or rivers or what have you.
Yeah. This summer we spent 8 days on our dad's boat up in northern BC on the north end of Vancouver Island. And they were doing all sorts of fishing and getting hooks out of fish's mouths and all that stuff.
That's incredible. Just now, what lake is this on a river or a lake?
Is that on the boat?
Yes.
That's on. It's in the ocean.
Oh, it's actually on the ocean. Okay, I didn't know how close to the ocean that you actually were.
We're right on the edge. Like we're on the islands just to the west of the ocean.
That is something else. I tell you what. In the picture here, I got to show this one picture here if I can find it real quick. There's a shot with your son, and the fog is rolling in off the water. I mean, that is just incredible. I mean, adults would be lucky to be able to get to a spot like that. You've got your kids out there. That's just what is so cool, sharing the outdoors with them like that. Now, your son, would he rather fish or would he rather get out in the woods?
Oh, I think he's happy with either or.
Okay.
So we have a bunch of turkeys at our house, and he has a little rubber band rifle that he's never had rubber bands for. But whenever there's turkeys in the backyard, he grabs his gun and goes running out to the back porch. And it's like, oh, Dad, I shot, a turkey. Or, we have all our game cams set up around the property, and we name our buck by numbers, like buck number 1, buck number 2.
Okay.
And where he goes to school is 18 miles to the west from where we live. And he'll tell me, oh, Dad, at school, I saw buck number 3.
Nice.
And I'm like, awesome, dude. And he's 4. And so he's going to be in it.
Now, you talked about the rubber band gun. You haven't shied away from regular firearms with your kids either. I mean, you've started them young as well.
He's shot an AR when he was probably 3.
Okay.
With my assistants.
Sure.
But you have that picture of one of my daughters shooting the 1022. Mm-hmm. We're always out there shooting and doing whatnot. My oldest daughter, Madison, she's on the biathlon team. I think you got a couple pictures of that where you race on skis and you shoot. And we'll be going up to British Columbia here in a couple of weeks to do a real race with that.
Okay. So that's, cross country skiing, and then you stop and then you shoot a target. Then you cross country ski again and shoot another target.
Yep. The targets are at 50 meters and the targets are 11 centimeters circle.
Okay. Now, since she's gotten proficient with firearm, you had her out hunting as well.
Yeah. She's kind of timid when it comes to shooting bigger guns because she's not very big. She's pretty skinny like me, and so I had her shoot a 870 Express 20 gauge youth gun last year, and it kicked her pretty good. And so she was not about shooting the shotgun this year. But we got her a rabbit, and then I took her down to our field, and I actually got out the Remington 1100 20 gauge auto, which is almost as tall as she is. Mm-hmm. But wherever we went, I'd carry her around a tripod with a Y in the front of it so she could, use it. Right. And once I got her over her fear of being kicked and got her to shoot it, she realized like, oh, this isn't bad at all. And so we were out grouse hunting, and a grouse flies up into a tree, and we get her all set up, and she's doing the whole like hesitation. She's worried about getting kicked. And I go, girl, you're just going to have to promise me. I promise you, if you pull that trigger at that bird, you won't even notice it going off. Right. And she nailed it. And, you got a picture of that. And then we were out shooting rifles, getting ready for deer season. She's like, Dad, I don't think I'm ready to shoot a rifle for deer this year. I'm like, hey, no problem. When you're ready, we'll get her done. And she was with me when I shot my deer, which is the first deer we ever shot on our property. And after I did that, she was pumped. She was like, Dad, I'm ready. We need to go. Let's get this done. And so I had just bought her a 6.5 at Cabela's. They ran a really good deal for one. And I had a scope laying around, and we got it together. I said, girl, we got to go to the range, and you've got to hit a target at 100 yards before I let you shoot at a deer. So we go out to the range. I'd get her out of school one day a little early. We go out to the range, and again, she's sitting there worried about it. I said, girl, again, sometimes you just got to trust me. And we put a muzzle brake on it so it wasn't going to kick. And 2 shots in a row, she hit the target at 100 yards. And it's like, you want to shoot it more? She's like, nope, I'm good. And I was like, okay, you passed the test. You did what I asked you to do. And then I took her hunting. Her first day deer hunting, within an hour and a half, she made a 250-yard shot and got her first buck down. Nice. She's ruined.
She's ruined now.
Yeah, she's going to be like, what the heck? Like, why is this taking so long? Because in real life, yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's awesome. And that's it, man. Once you get that confidence level up, they just seem to explode with enthusiasm, and then you can't slow them down. Then it's just go, 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 go.
Yeah. My middle daughter tells me, Dad, do I have to gut a deer when I shoot it? I go, I'll gut your first deer, but after that, you've got to gut him. She goes, okay, I'll only shoot one deer.
There you go.
Oh, that's good. That's the way it was with us. I always said that I got the first ones for the kids, that after that, you're on your own. You get one shot at watching and learning. So, that's cool.
And speaking of your property and going back to Wyoming, a question did come in from Chris Kreiner is, between your property and in Wyoming, did you see a lot of coyotes?
Yeah, we got a bunch of coyotes out here on our property. We're in eastern Washington, so kind of the scrub land. I shoot coyote a couple a year from my back porch. It's been about a year since I've shot one. We got a Christmas morning coyote last year. In Wyoming, not one. I've not seen a couple foxes, but in Wyoming they have, it's called some kind of like predator council or something like that. So when they have coyotes on their property, they call up this group and they come out there and deal with them because they don't want to lose their sheep, lambs, or their calves to them. And so I think the first time this year we actually heard a coyote, but other than that, nothing.
Oh, so basically it's almost like an on-demand thing. Yep, we got a predator problem. They come out and they take care of it right away because of that fact.
Yeah, we asked them, could we shoot coyotes if we see them? And the farmers told us, like, you can shoot them, but you better hit them if you shoot at them.
Yeah, because you educate them. Yeah. Yeah, if you shoot at them and miss, they're educated at that point.
Yeah.
Hell me. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take our break here just a little bit early because we got a couple more things we want to cover because we still got to get to the truth of the issue between you and your sister.
Yep.
I don't want to forget that, and I'm hoping she's watching tonight.
I think she's on a plane from Salt Lake City to D.C. right now, but
so she can't even chime in and defend herself. Then
he couldn't the other time, so it's fair.
I guess that's true. She threw you under the bus when we had her on the show, so now it's turnabout's fair play, I guess. All right, let's step outside and we'll take our last break. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at pscarchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Finishing up a little bit here with Rory. We got to step back just a little bit and talk about when we had his sister on.
And we do have a shot across the bow from Eric Williams. Tory still says how's it say? Tory Chase Williams still said outshot you during duck hunting.
Is that true?
That's my brother and my nephew. My nephew's, he's 17, I think, and he thinks he outshot me in duck hunting.
And what's the truth of the matter?
He did pretty good this year.
Sounds like he outshot him.
I'll give him a shout out. I'll give him a shout out, Chase. You're doing awesome, bud.
All right,
there you go.
That's good. You know what? And that just goes to show that this whole outdoor thing is a family sport, whatever you want to call it. You all gather together, you all have fun together. From your dad passing it down to you and your brother, and now your nephew and your kids and your sister. So yes, we're coming back around to that. Going to come back to your sister because we had her on month and a half ago.
Yep.
And she talked about this trip that you guys went on in a little dinghy boat, and you got up a river and you kept pushing and fishing and pushing and fishing, and the tide went out and you guys got stuck in the rocks.
She kept telling you we got to go back.
So that part's a complete lie. Complete lie. She wasn't she wasn't telling, we're going to get stuck. No. So what we were in is called a lagoon, okay? So a lagoon on the coast is like a freshwater lake, where the river, when the tide's high, the ocean flows into the lake. And when the tide goes down, the lake flows into the ocean.
Okay.
And so we get in the dinghy on Dad's boat, pretty similar to the area that me and my kids were in, and we go fishing. And I was into the fly fishing thing, and I wanted to catch some fish. And I think another thing she said is I wasn't catching any fish. That summer, in 6 weeks, I kept track. I caught almost 1,000 fish in those 6 weeks.
Wow.
So, lots of fish up there. However, regardless of whose fault it was, we did definitely get stuck up on those rocks and had to drag Dad's prize dinghy over them all. So basically what would happen is we kept like a big 100. Dad always like, okay, if you get stuck on the rocks, you have this big 100-foot rope on the boat, and you get out and you pull it with that 100-foot rope. And I guess the something about it's supposed to make it easier to pull. And so I get out there and get up my chest deep of water between the rocks, and I'd pull, and Ellery would be behind it. And for part of the time, most times she was in the boat getting pulled with it. But it was fun. We made memories. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But just going back to her whole interview, I actually learned a lot in that interview. Like, I didn't know that every time you pull the trigger that, a little bit of that money goes to whatever that tax to help outdoors, right?
Right.
Well, I finally figured out why, she'd shoot and miss so many times out hunting, because she loves the environment so much that she wanted all those tax dollars to go to the environment. So she just close her eyes and shoot and not worry about hitting anything. I finally figured it out.
Oh, man.
So there you go. So now we've got the true story of you and your sister and how she loves to donate. And Chase is saying that, no, I outshot him, and he's 100% positive. So, yeah, it sounds like we've got...
I think this is a competitive family is what I think.
A little bit. I'd hate to see when they get to their little...
no idea. So I think she also said something about how she catches all the fish.
Yeah.
And so this is 100% true, okay? Ellery is the luckiest outdoors person in the history of this world, okay? I can catch 1,000 fish all day long, but she'll still catch one fish. But guess what that one fish will be?
The biggest.
Biggest freaking fish in the ocean every time. It's ridiculous. I know we got more stuff to move into, but yeah.
No, we just wanted to get it settled because we knew this was going to escalate, so we might as well just get it out on the table, and that way she can tune in when she gets to wherever she's going, get in the Facebook, look, and find this little segment. And
yeah.
You know what Rory told me when we were talking earlier in the week? After Thanksgiving, he's got to go over to D.C. and help drive her back to Idaho to her new location where she's going to be working. I would love to be a fly in that car on that ride all the way across the United States.
I hope they listen to the interview on the way.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to both interviews and compare notes.
Right? You should.
Oh, my. I think we need to have them both back on the show at the same time.
I think we should.
I think you should have Dad on to solve all the arguments.
That's probably the best thing because the dad definitely tells the truth. He's going to be, I guess, was the referee all these years, and he's going to know the truth.
No, he embellishes all the stories, all of them, the worst.
Isn't that, though, what the outdoors is about? I mean, family, memories, embellishing stories, having fun. I mean, honestly, that's what this is all about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, before we let you go, we want to talk about a couple more things that you're involved with. At the beginning of the show, we talked about you being part of the first responders, being an officer out there in the state of Washington in your local community. But you have joined your job as well as your passion for the outdoors and put them together and formed this group. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, so me and a guy I met on Facebook from actually your state of Michigan, who's also in law enforcement, we started a group called Off Duty Outdoors, and it's a outdoors page for any first responder, including dispatchers, EMS, firefighters, corrections, police. I think I got them all. I think we're actually going to add in search and rescue here pretty quick. And, we just a place to relax and share stories of the outdoors and hunting and kids. And it's not just about hunting and fishing. That's what it primarily is. But it's about anything outdoor that you love to do. Okay. And my goal was to provide free equipment to our first responders through giveaways and donations through raffles. And so we're actually – my dog's sort of getting mad at something. We're actually like 15 people away from being at 1,000 members of first responders. And so we put together this big giveaway package that they don't even know about yet. And we have a bunch of sponsors sending us stuff. And it's just my way of saying thank you to them and keep up the hard work and that people do support us and they do care about us. And, let's just keep up the good fight.
Well, who are some of the companies that are working with you on this?
So the hat I'm wearing, Palouse Prairie Company, they make hats, great hats. They sent me one out for this show. Stone Glacier is they make bags and sleeping bags and backpacks and a bunch of outdoor apparel that's basically ultralight gear. They sent us a nice bag. Vortex Optics have sent us a bunch of stuff. A couple other companies got out there and are donating as well. And so we appreciate everyone who gives us anything. In the past, Urban Carry Holsters has sent us stuff. Gerber Knives has sent us stuff. And it's just basically I sit here on my days off and have a spiel I give to companies, and sometimes they give and sometimes they don't. And it's okay if they don't, but we definitely appreciate the people who do. And then sometimes just some private citizens donate stuff for us to give away as well.
And if any supporters or anybody listening to the show wants to help you out and get a hold of you, how do they do that?
They can contact me on Instagram. I believe you guys have my Instagram contact, Met How Adventurer. Or if they can't find that, I'm sure they can get a hold of you guys, and you guys can put us in touch.
Absolutely. So you're looking for donations. You're looking for gear from outdoor companies to donate. Yep. And now, let's say we've got some first responders here in our home area or state, or actually across the United States, and even Canada, because you mentioned Canada. You got somebody from Canada in your group. How can they find the group that you've got there? How can they join?
So they can look for Off Duty Outdoors. Off Duty is 2 words for us, outdoors. It's a private group. You have to sign up and then put what agency you work for, and we verify all of our first responders just so I can, I tell these companies that give us stuff that your stuff will go to a first responder, and then they're in. And then they, it's a great networking site. If you're a first responder and you want to go to Wyoming or Montana or somewhere out west to go hunting, there are lots of people who will give you advice or take you hunting themselves in the areas you want, or just answer your questions.
Gotcha. Okay. And the group you talked about, that's Facebook page, right?
Facebook page, yep.
Okay. And once again, it's off-duty outdoors?
Yep.
Okay.
2 words. Off-duty outdoors. 2 words.
Yep.
Okay. And you said first responders are police, fire, EMT, and...
correct. Dispatchers and search and rescue.
Okay. All right.
Even we're good with volunteers.
That's awesome. It gives you, like you said, it gives you a place you can you can ask for advice, you can share stories, you can share adventures as well. You said it's not just limited to your hunting. You could be a mountain climber or a kayaker.
Right. Yeah. You might even be able to share some trips with each other. Have somebody come to your home state and take them on an adventure, and they return the favor to you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else that we're missing? I know we didn't talk about the food plots. We're running a little bit out of time here, but I've got just a few more minutes. But is there anything else that you'd like to get out there that you're involved with before we let you go?
Not that I'm off the top of my head, unless I'm forgetting something.
Okay.
It's just we don't take any money or cash, anything like that. If you want to donate and you don't know what to buy or get or donate, you can definitely contact me for ideas. That's
cool. And real quickly, a question on when you were out in Wyoming and you were coming up down that road and you hit the private sign. And you guys were on your phones or you were using Onyx X. It didn't say. Did it show you all of a sudden the private land you were about to encounter, or was that just here's a sign thing?
Well, the thing is, like Onyx Maps and county websites, they show you private land, right? This is private, this is private. But in Washington State, just because you own both sides of the road, it doesn't mean you own the road.
Mm-hmm.
In Wyoming, I think it does. Like if you own both sides of the road, that road is yours.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so we knew we were going to go through private property, but we had no idea there's no easements or anything like that to the public land. And so I know that's a big fight that they're fighting out there because someone with lots of money can go buy up all this private land and landlock the public land, which then basically comes private, their property.
Yeah.
And so I'm all for property rights and whatnot, but I think public land should have access to the public land.
That's a good question too. Thinking along those same terms. What about the waterways? You talked about the Powder River there. Could you have put in a canoe or some kind of draft boat, something that drafts low in the water, and paddled your way up creek and then floated back down, or vice versa? Or is it same thing there?
I think you can do that, but the issue is when ranchers own both sides of the river, where you get out at.
Yep. Nope. Yeah. I totally. Okay. So that was that would be a shocker.
Yeah, but I think we also, as hunters and fishermen, need to realize, like, if we do have access through a private property to get to public property, we have to respect that land. We can't go out there and leave garbage and leave gates open. That's like the biggest frustration for me is we hunt a lot of private property that we have permission to be on. We're always picking up trash that other people leave and closing gates or checking in with the landowners to see which gates should be open, which gates should be closed. Because landowners aren't going to be, happy about letting random people use their property if it keeps getting trashed and destroyed. And I agree with them. They shouldn't if that's how people are going to treat their land.
I totally agree. And when you ran into, it sounds like, and they changed your camping area and said, hey, camp over here instead of over there, you were respectful to the rules that they were setting down. And there's people out there that you give them a foot, they're going to take a mile. So you didn't go shoot. You shot what you bought your tags for. You didn't shoot and say, oh, this one wasn't big enough, and just let it lay and move on. Exactly. Mike and I have said this a long time, is our own kind is our own worst enemy.
That's right. We can't play in the sandbox together, man. You put a bunch of outdoorsmen together, and within 5 minutes, we're throwing sand at each other. I mean, it's sad to say that, but that's the way it is. It's really sad, and all it does is hurt the rest of us. So,
yep.
No, point well taken. Well, I tell you what, we're bumping up against the end of the show here. We'll go ahead and wrap it up for the podcast portion, and we'll hang out on Facebook for a few minutes in case anybody has any questions here towards the end. So for those of you on the podcast, that'll do it for us this week. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll be back again next week.
And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by
PSE Archery,
Spot Shooters Archery,
Easy Cut,
Packer Max,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Scent Lock,
Scent Blocker,
Lim Walker Game Calls,
Buck Baits,
Gut Check,
Stanislawski Release Aids,
Copper John,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Sense Vapor Hunting Products,
and Rebel 6 rubs.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.